Hi, hello, it is me, it is I. Hi, welcome. My name is Wendy, also known as the Geek Goddess, and it is officially, as of today, summer! Woo! It is that time of the year to soak in the sun and relax and have a drink by the pool and just enjoy the summer fun. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited for my reading plans. I'm so excited for my vacation plans. I am just so excited for summer. I thrive in the summer. My birthday is in the summer. So, and I am also a fire sign. So the heat is my comfort. Okay, it's my comfort zone. So today I'm going to be talking about some summer horror book recommendations. So let's go ahead and get started. So I noticed something about, going back and watching my videos and like the counts and the likes, I noticed something. You guys seem to really like when I do horror book videos. That seems to be a really popular thing for me. You guys seem to like when I read horror. You guys seem to like when I recommend horror and do horror wrap-ups and new book releases. So I thought, let's do some summer horror book recommendations. This is going to include some books that I have read in the past. Most of these are going to be books that I have read, but there are going to be a few that I have not read, but that I think really fits the summer horror aesthetic. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with some summer horror books that are just perfect for the season, whether it be the weather, whether it be takes place in the summer. There's just something about it that's just like, yes, this is specifically summer horror. So let's get started. So let's go ahead and get started with the first book, and that is Fantasticland by Bockoven. So you guys, if you guys have been a subscriber for a while, you might have remembered when I first read this book. It was also in my top books of 2023 because I really enjoyed this book. I think out of every horror book that I've ever read in my life, this is probably my all-time favorite. And in this book, we are following a group of teenagers that end up working in this amusement park called Fantasticland during a hurricane. So once this hurricane hits, they're like, oh, we need some people to stay behind because they just want to protect the park from like looters and things like that. So they're like, you'll be paid overtime, and within like 72 hours, don't worry, we'll come back and we'll rescue you. So a whole bunch of teenagers are like, oh my gosh, free food. We just get to chillax and we don't have to worry about customers, and you'll be back for us in like 3 days. Sounds great. Yeah, count me on. Count me in. Let's do it. However, things go not according to plan, and this hurricane ends up being a lot bigger than they had anticipated. In fact, it's so big that they don't end up getting rescued for months. And so they are basically there fending for themselves. And so when they finally do get rescued, and this is not a spoiler, they end up seeing the whole amusement park streaked with blood, bodies, heads, literally on like spikes, and something went very, very wrong in Fantasticland. And so now we're piecing together through interviews what happened. And this book was great. I read it right before we got the hurricane warning in Southern California. And so when the whole Southern California hurricane warning started happening, I was one of those people that were like freaking out and like buying everything that I can at the store, because I was like, we are not running out of this. We are not going to eat our dog. Like, I was freaking out. So this was great. I read this during the summer because it is hurricane season, because it takes place in a theme park. It really has very summer vibes. So if you are looking for a great horror book that has a lot of gore and blood and you don't mind that, I definitely highly recommend Fantasticland. Like I said, my all-time favorite horror book ever. The next book that I'm going to recommend for summer horror books is going to be Damascus by Chuck Tingle. And in this story basically takes place in a conversion camp, or parts of it take place in a conversion camp that's basically like a summer camp, conversion camp. And obviously, you know what conversion camps are. And this conversion camp is a lot more darker, is very dark and sinister. I mean, like all conversion camps can be, but this one specifically has something a little bit more supernaturally dark attached to it. And we are following our main character as she is like living her life, and she lives in this like super religious town, and she begins to see demons. And we see how all of it loops in to this conversion camp, and that's all you need to know. Like, I'm not going to tell you anything else, anything less, anything more, because now you just need to jump into it. So if that sounds great, fine and dandy, amazing to you, I would definitely highly recommend checking this out, because this does take place in like a camp. It has very like summer-y vibes for me. And yes, so this is a good read, and I believe I read it last summer too, so this is a good one to read for summer horror book recommendations. The next book that I'm going to be talking about is The Hacienda by Isabel Canas. And in this one, we are following this girl from Mexico as she basically gets married to this man, and she ends up moving into a haunted hacienda. And hacienda is kind of like, it kind of looks like this. Do you remember like in elementary school, if you ever had to like make those missions buildings and all that? It kind of looks like that. So she moves into one of those with her spouse, and she realizes that this hacienda is haunted by something very, very dark. And this takes place back in the day, so women didn't really have a voice, they didn't really have any rights. So when she goes and tells the priest like, hey, this is what I saw, the priests obviously think that she's bonkers. So she finally finds a priest that actually believes her story, and together they go in and try to figure out what is going on with this hacienda. This literally takes place in like a deserty area, so very, very like hot, summery sort of feels. I think it is actually in the summer, if I'm not mistaken. It starts off in the summer, takes place in the summer. It's a very hot atmosphere, okay? It just gave me the whole time, I'm like, this is summer vibes. This is summer vibes. So this is a good one if you want to really just feel the heat, because you definitely feel the heat, as in like this place is really, really hot. Yeah. So that's why I recommend this one. All right, so the next book recommendation that I have for you is Diavola by Jennifer Thorne. This one I just read like last month, and this one specifically takes place in Italy during the summer. So this one is summer vacation vibes, summer vibes. It gives you, if you want all that vacation, summer-y sort of vibes, international, foreign, like swept away in this like amazing, different new country sort of vibes, Diavola. You'll probably enjoy Diavola if you're looking for those vibes. In this one, we are following our main character, who is pretty much the black sheep in her family. She has never really fit in. She has always been the one that's like, oh, you're here to cause problems. Oh, you're the one that always causes this and that. You're the misfit of the family. But, you know, it's her family, and she still loves her family. So she decides to go with them to the vacation in Italy. And also they kind of need her because she's the only one that speaks Italian. So they kind of need her, right? I mean, they need somebody that speaks Italian. It'll help them out. So is it because they really want her there? Who knows? Who knows? But when they get to this home, she is handed a key. And this key, and the man tells her in Italian, like, oh, danger, 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 don't go in the tower. And so she's like, okay, what's in the tower? And so whatever she does, they just said, don't go into the tower. And one night, she makes a mistake, and then things start to happen. in the vacation home. And they are seeing ghosts, they are dreaming of ghosts, and horrible things are happening. And so our main character is trying to figure out and piece together what exactly is going on here, why is this happening, and of course, why her family doesn't believe her. And we follow her through the vacation, and when she comes back home, when she realizes that this thing followed her home, like it didn't just stay where it was supposed to. This book I personally didn't really like as much as I had hoped to. It was a 3 out of 5 star, but it is really popular and a lot of people do enjoy it. Of course, everybody's reading interests are different, so if you want to, go ahead and check this one out. I really do love the cover though. The cover is just gorgeous. The next book that we're going to talk about is another one that I have read. I literally just read it again last month. It is a new release, and that is Murder Road by Simone St. James. This is my very first Simone St. James book, and I am glad that I started with this one because I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 star. And in this one, we are following our two main characters. Our two main characters are newlyweds, and they are on their way to their honeymoon when all of a sudden they go down this lane called Atticus Lane, and there's a woman literally drenched in blood, and they grab her, they take her to the hospital, and when they go to the hospital, the nurse like quickly gets on the phone, and she's like staring at them, and they realize that they're covered in this woman's blood. And so the police start to question them. They're like, hey, we don't know anything about what's going on. We swear we were just going on our honeymoon and this just sort of happened. And then we quickly come to realize that Atticus Lane is very famous for murders and, you know, people that are going missing and ending up unalived. But nobody has ever caught the killer, and nobody has ever been able to talk to one of the victims or even one of the witnesses. So right now they are like prime suspect in this murder case and in this serial unaliver case. And the more that these two individuals start to take it upon themselves to do deep diving on this specific investigation, the more they realize that they're not dealing with something that is of this earth, and they might be dealing with something that's a little bit more paranormal. But of course, how can you tell a police officer that? So this book was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. I liked how they literally combined horror and thriller together and merged it and made a beautiful story that still kept the supernatural elements. Because what I do not like is when you take a book, you say it's horror, or you like say that something supernatural happens, and in the end it's explained by something logical. No, like, this is fiction. Please, like, give me something supernatural. I want something crazy. Give me a crazy loop in there, okay? Don't logically explain it in the end. I don't want that. So I loved that they still kept the supernatural element, and that's what it was. It was supernatural. It wasn't something that could be explained. It was supernatural. And that is not a giveaway. That is just like, that was great. I really enjoyed that book a lot. Like I said, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And because they're like on their way to the honeymoon, and you see them at like this bed and breakfast, and it's like vacation feels. That's another reason why I'm putting this one here, looping this one in with the summer horror book recommendations. So the next horror book recommendation that I have for you is Dead 11 by Jimmy Juliano. This one I actually have not read yet, unfortunately. Very, very unfortunately. But I really, every time I read the synopsis of this one, I get little giggles and little I get very excited. So I have a feeling this might be one that I just have to pick it up. I might do a reading vlog where I just read books that have VHS tapes on the cover, because I seem to really like collecting books that have VHS tapes on the cover. That seems to be something that I enjoy. I don't know why. Maybe it makes me feel nostalgic. But in this one, we are basically following our main character. Well, our first main character. Her name is Willow. And Willow wants to solve what happened to her son. Like, her son is no longer alive. And so she's trying to figure out what exactly happened to him. And her son ends up writing Clifford, I believe it's Clifford? Yeah, Clifford Island on the floor in his room. And so she decides to go to Clifford Island and figure out, well, okay, what's going on with Clifford Island. And when she gets there, she sees a very strange sight. It seems like everybody that lives there is stuck in the year 1994. Like, they're dressed in like outdated clothing. They watch the O.J. Simpson trial like over and over again as if it's happening in real time. And people are just very peculiar there. And pretty soon, Willow also goes missing. So we follow Harper, who is her brother, and he goes to this island and he's like, I need to find my missing sister. I wonder what is happening. And he also, of course, notices how strange Clifford Island is as well. And he starts to finally get to the root of it. And he realizes that Clifford Island is a lot more darker and sinister than, you know, a lot of people know it is. And so he wants to tell the world about this, but that's only if he can make it out alive. Every time I read the synopsis, I get little, like, giggles and like little excited little bubbles. I don't know, I just get like this really happy feeling. Even though it's like a very dark synopsis, I don't know, I get this like little giddy feeling. You know, like when you're about to go on vacation and you're like excited for it? That's the same sort of feeling that I get reading the synopsis of this book. Literally. So this is great. Like, I haven't read this yet, but I'm probably gonna have to read it over the summer because I need to. Like, if it makes me feel this way, then it's just something that I have to read. So that is Dead 11 by Jimmy Juliano. Alright, so the very last book that I'm going to recommend is Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Cesare. I believe this is going to become a movie if I'm not mistaken. I think it's going to be a movie. In this one, we are basically following our main character, Quinn, as Quinn and her father move to this little town called Kettle Springs. And now, Kettle Springs is a very strange place. Once their corn syrup factory shut down, Kettle Springs basically like cracked in half. On one side, we have the adults that want to make Kettle Springs great again, and then on the other side, we have the kids that just want to have fun, play pranks, and then just, you know, do their own thing. They're like, we're gonna just, you know, do our little funsies, and then once we're 18, we're gonna get the heck out of Dodge. Kettle Springs is basically caught between the old and the new, tradition and progress. It's a fight that looks like it's gonna completely destroy the whole town. Until Friendo, who's basically like the clown mascot, decides, you know what, we're gonna end this little shababble once and for all, okay? We're gonna take care of it. And the way that we're gonna do that is to go on a whole homicidal rampage and just, you know, unalive all these kids that are causing all these problems. Let's just get rid of them. Let's just get rid of them, Becky, okay? And that's what happens. And so it is a slasher book that has very like small town vibes, if you get what I mean. And when I think of small town, I associate it with like summer for some reason. So it could take place in the summer for all I know. I don't know if it does, but I just get summer vibes from it. So that is going to be my last book recommendation. I haven't read that one either, but that is another one that I definitely need to get to ASAP. And it is actually on sale right now on Amazon for only like $9.89 US dollars. And it's also BOGO, so save 50% when you buy two. Say no more. So anyways, you guys, that is all. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. If you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell to be notified when I post. If you enjoyed this video, please also be sure to give me a thumbs up. It really helps out my channel. And if you made it to the very end, put a clown emoji, since that is the final book that we talked about, The Clown in the Cornfield. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!